Hi there, everyone. My name is Prerak Juthani. I'm an MD MBA student here at Yale. And today, the topic is actually something very fitting, which is should medical students be on social media? And you'll see that by the end of this talk, it actually even infringes on the question of is there a role for any healthcare professional on social media? As someone who is obviously on YouTube and has been on YouTube for several years now, obviously my answer is going to be bias. You all should know about this bias going in, but obviously it's very tough to be objective about something like this. But I will say that I'm going to be pulling a lot of quotes from this article, which was in The Atlantic, which says, when your doctor is on TikTok. On a platform rife with falsehoods, a cohort of healthcare professionals has stepped in to correct them. And this was published recently in 2022. And so I just want to make sure that you understand that even though obviously I'm coming with my own biases and you will see them, I am still trying to pull from a lot of sources like this one. And this is where you'll see if anything is in quotes, it's from this article. And that's just for your education. And it's obviously going to be linked in the description below. Another thing that I also want to point out is, although I am on social media, I try to take a lot of the things I do on social media and try to be as academic about them as possible. So I have published op-eds on social media regarding social media. I have published in the American Medical Association regarding my use of utilizing social media to fight misinformation on TikTok, and it actually even won a prize. So all that to say, I try to do social media with a purpose. And I also try to be at least somewhat scientific in the way I do it and think about these things. So all that to say, hopefully you understand that I'm coming with a little bit of background on this stuff. So now let's just jump straight into this article, which says when your doctor is on TikTok. What are some of the things that this article is saying? And again, it's going to be linked in the description below if you want to read it yourself. So you'll see that with around 20 followers, there was a doctor called Dr. Kat Wallace, and she actually dropped her first video in August 2020, and it was initially a minute-long video that talked about how COVID-19 death certificates are filled out. And that got a lot of views, and then ever since then, Dr. Kat, who is now an epidemiologist, well, she has always been an epidemiologist, but she's rebranded herself as an epidemiologist, now has around 250,000 followers on TikTok. And it's all to say that there are now people on TikTok who are doctors, PhDs, MD doctors, PhD doctors, epidemiologists, MPH students, medical students. There's no dearth of healthcare professionals on multiple social media platforms. In this case, it's TikTok, spreading information related to COVID-19 and health information. The other thing that you'll notice is that many people acknowledge the fact that people who often follow these experts are going to create an echo chamber. So you can see that my followers are like-minded. They wouldn't follow me unless they already thought like me. Christina Kim, who is a nurse practitioner at Massachusetts General Hospital, has around 350,000 followers. I might just be speaking into an echo chamber, but a big part of what I do is arm them with ammunition they need to go out and talk to people in their own communities. So yes, 100% agree that social media is an echo chamber. Oftentimes, if you don't believe in something, you will probably get information and content that reaffirms these beliefs. If you do believe in something, you will also get content that reaffirms those beliefs. Which of those is right is obviously tough to decide. There are certain things that you definitely should not believe in, like magic hocus pocus, but there are certain things that you should believe in, which is obviously very good basic science that has been done through good experimentation. So with all that being said, yes, social media is an echo chamber. But the problem is, if you now go and create a social media environment where there's misinformation propagating, you need to have healthcare professionals there to try and combat that misinformation. Because if there's no one there to try to at least show you like, hey, this is wrong, then I think you're creating a scenario where everyone is worse off because the information that is incorrect continues to propagate. And that's just really bad. So with that being said, it's kind of what I told you. I think social media definitely has a lot of bad points, and I also think that there's a lot of ways to do wrong with social media, and we're definitely going to get into that. If you're a med student and you're considering being on social media, just remember that there is a very fine line that you have to kind of navigate. You're not a medical professional yet. You obviously can't give out any medical advice ever. You obviously have no real credibility in the medical world yet as a student. But I do want to show you some people who are doing an exceptional job, right? So there's a medical student at WSU who's a Yale undergrad, Joel, does some extremely impressive work with medical myth busting related to disparities in medicine and talking about equity. And I've seen some of his stuff, and it's just this aspect of talking about racial bias. And this is something that if people like him did not create this, it was a vacuum. People didn't know about it, and yet we have people coming in and doing incredible stuff. My friend Andy does a lot of videos where he shows you what it's like to be a neurosurgeon, what it's like to be an interventional radiologist, because he interviews those people in those fields. And they fill this amazing niche while also acknowledging the fact that they're medical students, and yet they're providing so much incredible value. So that being said, if you're a medical student and you have ideas like this, I think it's like by all the means better that you create these things and put them out there in the world, because the world is better off for it. But that being said, also be very careful, because as you'll see, there's a lot of ways to go wrong. The next thing I want to talk about is that social media is obviously a big source of misinformation, but the issue is that if healthcare professionals don't go to social media to rectify that misinformation is going to propagate. And we have now seen in this pandemic people like Eric Topol and Bob Wachter, both of whom are renowned clinicians. Bob Wachter is the chair of medicine at UCSF. Dr. Eric Topol is at the Scripps Institute. They have been incredible voices of reason during this pandemic, and multiple scientists, PhDs, medical students actually follow their accounts because they are the voice of reason. Whenever a big study comes out, Dr. Topol is the first one to talk about it. So with all of this, I do think there is a net positive to social media, because as you can see, it allows people to connect, and it also allows us to have a net overall better understanding, I think, of things that we may not have understood had we not had access to these exceptional experts. But obviously, we can't assume that it's all positive, because it's definitely not. Social media definitely also exposes a lot of bias. If people don't do social media correctly, it also leads to a lot of negative, obviously, mistrust in medicine. And this is just one of the most recent examples where the Columbia Psychiatry chair, this is the chair of the psychiatry department of one of the most renowned institutions in the world, who had to step down because he made some atrocious comments regarding an individual of color. And because of that, obviously I think he either got fired or he had to resign, and now is facing a pretty big backlash from a lot of individuals in the community. So maybe in that regard it is good, because someone who has these beliefs should not be potentially in medicine, is what a lot of people are saying. But at the same time, this potentially would never have happened had this person never been on social media to begin with. You have to be very careful. I think you have to tread pretty lightly when it comes to being on social media. You also have to understand that your audience constitutes a wide variety of individuals, and you also obviously have to be understanding of that. That's not to by any means condone whatever this person did. This is obviously independent of that. I'm just saying that if you were to choose to be on social media as a medical student and down the road, there's just so much more to it than just saying, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, because anything you publish is written in ink and it's going to be there for the long haul. So the general rule of thumb that I use is anything on the internet that I post is something that I should be 100% okay putting my name next to for essentially the rest of my life. And if I don't think that's the case, then I shouldn't be doing it. And that's why to this day, I actually have rarely ever had any brand deals. I don't get sponsored by anyone. And part of that is because I just think that for right now, I don't even know medicine. And so for me to get sponsored by someone who claims to be part of X, Y, and Z supplement or part of X, Y, and Z company, it doesn't make sense for me, because I just can't be associated with any sort of brand yet, because I don't even know who I am yet and what I believe in. And so, those are just things that you should think about and things to be very mindful of. So hopefully this kind of shows you the positive sides and negative sides of social media. I do hope this brought you a bit of positive value, and if it did, then my social media journey is a net positive. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please drop a like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care of yourself, and if you can, someone else too. Thank you so much, and peace.